Madam President, Chancellor Merkel has shown a strong commitment towards the Western Balkans. What do you request from the new German government regarding the region and especially Kosovo?
I think it's extremely important that the new German government, no matter who will be the new chancellor, continues with a clear vision when it comes to the enlargement of the European Union, a clear vision towards the Western Balkans, but one that is a merit-based process that is very much centered on how much these countries are implementing reforms, so that everyone understands that there's no shortcut. As Kosovo, we're absolutely not asking for a shortcut. We're simply asking that this is a just process where if we deliver, the European Union delivers as well. Unfortunately, this has not happened when it comes to visa liberalization, where despite of the fact that we have implemented all of the criteria many years ago, the EU is still, for the domestic considerations of some member states, is still not deciding when it comes to visa liberalization. So I do hope that this kind of approach will not be continued. I do hope that there will be a more energetic approach beyond the words, beyond the nice commitments, and we can actually see that if countries fulfill the requirements, such as in the case of Albania and North Macedonia, that accession talks begin. And at the same time with Kosovo, once we implement the Stabilization and Association Agreement and apply for a candidate status, that there is a clear commitment towards us as well, no matter the fact that Serbia is still trying to destabilize the entire region and block us from moving ahead.
Yeah, beside the enlargement process, there's also the Berlin process, which has been supported by you and the government during the last month. But you object the so-called open Balkans. Why?
The Berlin process had started many years ago with a clear vision of bringing the countries closer economically in terms of interconnectivity and digitalization, in youth, which is extremely important for future generations, and so on, including the transport. And we always believed as the Republic of Kosovo that this is extremely important because it makes our citizens directly feel the benefits of these processes. So it's not like what we had seen in the past where you have politicians shaking hands and there's a nice picture and a couple of nice words about that meeting, but the people didn't really feel the effects of these meetings. Now with the Berlin process, it was the opposite. The end beneficiaries were the people of Kosovo. And it was extremely important that the Berlin process was designated in a way that it was not intended to delay the European integration process, but quite the opposite, to make it faster. With Open Balkan, it's completely the opposite. Its aim is to kind of put us in a waiting room. And instead of moving ahead with European integration, it does create a situation where certain countries are upheld much higher than others, whether economically, politically, or in other circumstances. And the Open Balkan Initiative, we call it the Novi Sad Initiative because that's where it was started in Serbia, and it changed names from Mini Schengen to others, does not respect the main principle of regional cooperation, which was inclusiveness of all Western Balkan 6 countries. It started with Albania and Serbia. Later on, it included Macedonia. But it's not just Kosovo, it's also Bosnia and Montenegro that we have been considering that from an economic point of view, this is absolutely benefiting Serbia. From a political point of view, Kosovo cannot enter in an initiative which we don't even know where the fruit is hanging, and where Serbia tries to play a leading role, and it would give them a chance to continue to deny the existence of Kosovo as a sovereign state. And from a security point of view, as well as European integration point of view, it is going to delay rather than benefit in our European integration process.
So what do you expect from the European Union and Germany regarding the Open Balkans? So more residents, more clear signals?
Yes, absolutely, because I mean, even if none of the reasons that I've mentioned earlier would exist, there's a simple logic here that you don't need another regional initiative. When we have CEFTA, where Serbia is not implementing the agreements and continuing to put hundreds of non-tariff barriers to Kosovo goods, we have the RCC, we have the Berlin process and other initiatives, so we don't need another one which will simply be a repetition of Serbia signing and not implementing. What we need the European Union is to be clear towards Serbia that equal footing, equal representation of all the countries, including Kosovo, is a fundamental precondition for these regional initiatives to survive. And the Open Balkan initiative does not have that element because they want to continue to deny Kosovo's existence as a country and to have us there as some sort of a province or with a footnote or something else. We're not going to accept that. And these are not pure symbolisms. For us, this is the mere fundamental fact of our right to exist as a sovereign nation, and we're not going to give up on that.
As a trusted ally of the US, which you have just confirmed, Kosovo has accepted to take in up to 2,000 refugees from Afghanistan. Why do these people have to stay in Kosovo for 1 year before continuing their voyage to the US?
Well, first of all, we have agreed to take 2,000 at a time, which means that the cumulative number at the end might be much larger than 2,000. Most of them will not be staying for 1 year because it really depends on how long their visa procedures to go to their permanent homes last. Sometimes it lasts a month. For example, the first group of Afghan refugees that came to Kosovo through NATO is leaving today, I believe, to their new home in the United Kingdom. And many others are preparing their documents to leave to the United States. So it really depends how long the procedure lasts. It may last a couple of days, it may last a couple of months, or up to 1 year maximum. So we, as the Republic of Kosovo, are very proud that we could stand together with our allies to help these people in need, because I don't think there's a country that understands the situation better than us. We have been refugees ourselves. And as a former refugee myself, I understand that the open door policy can save lives and it can really change the world for the better. And for that reason, we wanted to contribute to this important action, humanitarian action, and joined countries like the US and other NATO members so that although we are a small country, as I said many times, we showed that we have a big heart and we are doing everything in our hands to make sure that we offer a safe haven.
After what happened in Afghanistan, are you afraid or worrying that sooner or later the US might withdraw their troops from Kosovo?
No, because we did receive the commitment of the United States that they intend to continue with their important presence in the Republic of Kosovo, and not just the United States, but other NATO allies. As you know, they are very much engaged in the border area between Kosovo and Serbia because of one simple reason, and that is the destabilization efforts from Serbia. So as long as Serbia, with the help of Russia, with the malign influence of Russia, tries to destabilize the entire region, the presence of NATO in Kosovo is more than necessary.
So if you're talking about destabilization, the European Union and NATO has repeatedly mentioned Russia's hybrid war in their countries. And there are reports that similar methods are being used also in the Western Balkans. What is your institutional response to this phenomenon as the President of the Republic of Kosovo?
That is very much correct. We are working with our security institutions to counter this influence. And what is important is that within Kosovo, either among the people of Kosovo or the institutions of Kosovo, Russia will never find an ally because of their bad intentions for the region. Unfortunately, Serbia has been proving to be a trampoline of Russian malign influence in the entire region. For that reason, we have called upon the European Union to be clear on Serbia that they cannot continue to try to sit on two chairs at once. They have to choose whether they want to join the European Union or continue their political, economic, or military cooperation with Russia, because you cannot play with both cards at the same time and allow for Russian malign influence, I'm not talking about all kinds of influences, especially in the security sector, to destabilize all of the other countries in the region.
Mm-hmm. Another topic is the Tribunal. The Kosovo Specialist Chamber in The Hague began its first war crime trial on Wednesday. Your predecessor Hashim Thaci and other high-ranking former UCK commanders are accused of having committed war crimes. What are your expectations from the chamber in terms of justice, peace, and reconciliation?
Well, it's exactly what you said. We expect justice. And I think it's extremely important for the tribunal to be impartial and do its work professionally, as provided in the Constitution of Kosovo and on the law on specialist chambers, laws that were adopted overwhelmingly by the Kosovo Parliament with over 2/3 of the votes. And in this way, Kosovo has shown its commitment to international justice, and it has also shown that it has nothing to hide, because despite of the efforts to rewrite history, the reality of the Kosovo War happened in front of the eyes of the entire world. So there can never be a moral equivalence between what Serbia, through Milosevic's state apparatus, exercised in Kosovo, which was war crimes, crimes against humanity and genocide, and what certain individuals might have done on their own without any chain of command, without any orders from the institutions of Kosovo or any support from the people of Kosovo. So in this way, there can absolutely never be a moral equivalence between a state-sponsored regime and individual actions.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.